way that I made it into my tech job was by hustling hard, by networking, by talking to everyone and anyone. So that is something I strongly suggest you guys do. Don't just sit here and listen. Sit here and try to figure out, hey, what's my next move? What's my next meetup? How am I going to talk to the speaker? What is he going to say? I want him to, I want to understand what he's talking about. Right? So, very appreciative. And I'm very honored to have Harsha here. He's from Austin, Texas. And he is a very seasoned developer. He is a self-taught coder. I think you initially were learning mathematics, right? And then he ended up teaching other computer science majors how to code. And this is in 1999 when the internet was pretty much in its infancy. So he learned everything from books. So very honored for him to have here, and he's going to be speaking to you, I think, about login? Yeah. Secure login. Thank you, guys. Sorry, I thought you wanted to.
So introduction, I don't know
what.
Tonight we are going to have Harsha, who is going to speak on very relevant topics. The time is by application of items providers. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a really good presentation. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to talk about different topics, but maybe new to you guys that from a different point of view, but you are very familiar with this thing, like when you're experiencing login and application login for maybe mobile application or maybe some other web applications. But as you are kind of IT developers, not really a consumer, right? So you guys are going to develop those applications, so then you should know first of all what exactly this login, and it's just like login. Like you saw that you see you should normally provide a credential and you log in. You register for some portal and you just use that credential and log in. Maybe you have seen that different experience that you log in from social accounts or maybe different ID providers, kind of. So I'm going to talk about a bit more like what exactly this application login, and behind that, what are the challenges that you are not seeing as a consumer but as a developer. What are the challenges? So, okay, the first thing. What exactly login, and you can see what exactly login, right? When you log into any application, right? Any mobile application or any system, so what exactly you are doing? You are providing your information, and the system may identify you as it is. So based on your ID or maybe your username or maybe your mobile phone number, or one of attribute that the system can uniquely identify you. So that's where you provide the credential or maybe provide the user information and log in your system, right? That is where the login comes. And then why exactly we need a login, right? So there are a couple of reasons, maybe some system, let's say that you log into a shopping system, maybe you log into some shopping cart and try to find some sort of some items, and without you purchasing those things, you just going through and find those things. So then the business owners, they want to see how you traverse all those things, items, and what your preferences and all this information. Then in that case, from their point of view, they need your information. So then they expect to have a login, and then only they let you to go to the system, right? But again, when you come to the kind of enterprise level application, then that system, the business owners may have to control part of the system based on the privilege that you have, right? Based on the role or maybe whatever region or maybe whatever, based on different criteria, right? So then again, why we need the login, control and secure the portal or maybe part of the portal. And again, tracking and analysis, so we need to, in a system, from the business point of view, the business owner may need to analyze all this information, the people where they're coming from to the systems, and what time they log into systems, or what are the items that they, what are the items that they're looking for here. So all these information, so then they are collecting all this information and tracking the items, right? So again, when we talk about the login, there are so many things come behind, like legal and compliance, right? So normally we don't care about that, like, you know, no, most of the people, we don't know, like, so what are the legal and like, you know, security compliances around there. So we don't care about that, we just log in and we do this stuff, but we have rights, right? So basically, as an example, like GDPR, based on the GDPR the rules, so we can ask from any system, just delete my account, right? Or else you can ask which purpose you are using my information, right? So you can ask. So likewise, so there are so many compliance rules that you need to follow, and maybe again, when you collect, let's say that your system, your prompt registration page, right? Then when you collect those information, you have to exactly say which purpose that you are collecting this, and get the consent purposely. Like as an example, like maybe you can just put that consent button inside corner of the website, and people may not see it, and they just continue. That you can't do. Based on the compliance, you have to prompt and block the system and get the consent purposely, right? Then no one can miss it. They give the consent by reading it, or maybe just without giving the consent, they can't continue the system. That's a GDPR that they enforce to make sure, to say to the consumers why you are collecting those information, right? So likewise, there are some ton of compliance here and there in a region-wise, in GDPR, mostly in Europe, and the California, there's another the compliances likewise. So I have added one more slide because of it's very important, because the topic is that the identity provider, how we use the identity provider for the login purpose. That is why I put this, because if we are not talking about this identity provider thing, the people implement everything to the application, right? So without knowing all these compliance and security things, so they don't care about that. End of the day, they will get sued with this by not following the correct compliance, right? So yeah, that's what I mentioned. You can see that, like as an example here, the website showing cookie consent. You can see that most of the site right now. It was not there previously, so not all the sites, but right now all the websites, they have put, like, you know, a very clear banner to get the consent for the cookies, right? So yeah. Any question if you have, just interrupt me and we discuss. Yeah. So the traditional login versus identity provider login, right? So I'm talking about here this topic because the traditional login is, so first of all you have to understand what the traditional login is, what the identity provider login, right? The traditional login means, like, let's say that you are developing a mobile application or maybe a website that you need to provide some business requirement and implement some business requirement, and you need to have, like, you know, the user management, and you have to let the system to, like, pay the users and log in to the system, that control part of the system, and likewise. So in the traditional login approach, that you have to implement everything in your system itself. That's how the people were doing it. Like most of the businesses, like, you know, let's say that not enterprise scale, like maybe medium and lower medium businesses. So they are trying to implement those things within the application itself, right? They don't see those other challenges and what comes behind that and what are the compliance behind those things. They don't care about that, but they do it. Versus how we can really delegate all these capability to an identity provider. I'll talk about identity provider. It's a different third-party provider who can provide all these and who can like, you know, work and achieve all these capabilities. Basically, login, user management, and security compliance, everything, right? So then, what happens? So once you delegate everything to identity provider, you don't want to care about, you don't want to, like, you know, implement anything in your application itself, right? You just delegate everything to identity provider, and it will care everything behalf of you, and that's where the ID provider comes, right? So the traditional login versus ID provider, I put this couple of important points here. You can see that the credential management, right? In the traditional login, each application that you have to implement those in a database level and store the credential, and you have to write the code to pull the credential and provide login screen and authenticate, validate the credential, and maybe you have to provide kind of a user management section and assign roles and privileges, everything you have to implement, right? So then the traditional approach, you have to manage everything. When you delegate it to ID provider, so the IDP will be manage everything, right? So security wise, yes, it is very high risk, because if you are not aware of all these compliance rules, and again, if you are not aware of these security vulnerabilities, threatening other hacking tool, how they hack on the system, that if you are not aware of those things, you just follow the basic programming fundamentals and you implement, right? Then it's a really high risk if you implement everything in your application itself. So when you move the ID provider, that's their own domain, that's their own business, they will take care of it, right? They have proved it, it's 100% secure, right? So that's another thing. And user experience point of view, so user experience point of view, let's say in one single business, you may have a multiple department. For each department, there may be like a different portal to represent their businesses, but same user base, right? So each user has to log in for each application separately, right? So you don't have any single login and share across all the portals experience. If that's the case, you have implemented it across the portal, right? So then repetitive logins, which is like not good user experience. And maybe sometimes each application may manage their own credentials too. Then you may have to you have to manage multiple credentials for different portals, right? In case. So again, integration in the sense like when you implement it in the application itself, then you have to write everything and manually implement how to communicate with the databases and do the login and everything, right? But when you come to the identity provider, so now you can understand that identity provider is a kind of a third party independent product, so that you need to communicate in between your application and that product by following kind of a standard based protocol, right? So there are standard protocol in the industry, so that you need to understand the specification and communicate, right? And maintenance wise, again, it's very clear, writing everything per application really hard to manage. By having a central identity provider to make all life easier, and you don't want to manage everything per application, everything managed in central. So those are the key areas that when we compare with the traditional login versus the dedicating everything to the identity provider login. Any question?
My application means by multiple credit identifiers and corporate culture. You have also credentials, then you have key credentials, then you have other so many applications like app applications, Oracle. So all these are the applications, right? So all these each application you have multiple different credentials. You need to remember. That is one thing, and for this purpose, that by implementing the identity provider, you will get just one login detail. You are putting like the SSO, a single sign-on. You just put your credential one time and you will get access for all the applications behind your IDP, right? This is the concept.
That's a kind of experience, yes.
Okay.
There are so many other different experience, but that's a main experience that we are seeing daily basis.
So remember your credential for each application. It's very difficult to need to write somewhere, and sometimes you forgot the password for one application and you remember the other one. So this is the purpose of implementing the identity provider.
Yeah. So when you say that, we got an example from the public services, like Outlook or kind of. When it comes to that, what would happen? You don't have a central identity provider, keep the credential and log into each system, but you can, if all these service provider in the sense like this Oracle or Outlook, if they support to log in from a social account, like let's say Google. Then you just log in from the Google there, and you log in from the Google to Oracle. Then Google is the ID provider in that case.
There are two different accounts. One is IDP, the other one is service provider.
Service provider, exactly. Yeah. Service provider may be provision that in account at the service provider level, or maybe you can keep continue with the central IDP account as well. But when it comes to the enterprise scale, like in business, we are not talking about Outlook or Oracle. All the portal are related to business. Then they have to store the kind of their own identity provider, not the Google. Google may be another secondary identity provider, but they should maintain their own identity provider. In that case, they have to start
public and private concept.
Exactly.
Publicly, like in so many applications like Booking.com. If
Yeah.
I want to log into Booking.com, so they might ask me to log in through the Google account.
Exactly.
That is the public side.
That's the Google. Google is the
Google
IDP
is
in
the
that
IDP.
case. Exactly.
Okay.
It's a very important asking that question. Like everyone can understand that in story.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking this
Yeah,
question.
that's really interesting.
It will make it easier.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So so again, sometimes I have seen that like even though we have a kind of identity provider in the industry, so the application developer want to implement those things within the application set, because they would love to code, right? Maybe they try to convince their team leads and okay, we can implement those things. It's easy, like we can store the credential, we can implement the login screen, and we can implement the registration, user registration. It's not a big deal, to be honest. So we can do it in a simple way. But end of the day, what I want to highlight here, so it's kind of iceberg, right? So people, even though they see that login is simple, but a lot of things coming behind that, right? So because it's the trend, not the trend, but based on the industry need and the industry evolve, like with so many things. So you have to go with that, right? So why? 10 years back, if we consider 10 years back, we didn't have a OT, right? So we didn't have a secondary authentication. We just log in somehow. We brought the credential somewhere and we tried to be, right? No one there to find the credential. So right now we have to go for second factors, and maybe go for the biometrics and so many things, right? Like make our system more secure. So when we talk about that extending capabilities, you can see even though you're not you're not working, but as a the consumer of all these applications publicly available, you have seen all these things. The social login, the single sign-on, even though you don't know sometimes this word like single sign-on, it's like by logging to one application, you automatically log into the other application, right? So multi-factor, right? Multi-factors we provide OTPs, right? So use authentication, consent management I talked about, user management, account login, account password reset, those things you daily experience, right? So so what happened? If you implement the login, you have to implement most of these things, right? And yes. We have this experience, like so because people in industry, so we know we implement for some extent. No, there are so many requests coming behind that. Somehow we have to implement all these things. So I have talked about all these. I'll share this slide deck. So so many things come behind basically I talk this. Like developer would like to implement, and what would happen? Like maybe people would like to implement this. And maybe they say we can implement. Okay. Good news is that we perfectly implemented the login process. But end of the day, what would happen? The bad news is they couldn't achieve the real business use case because they had to spend more time on the login and user management. That's not their business, right? So they cannot focus on their business. Even though they did that, they cannot successfully do it. This is a bit more technical, but you guys can follow on this topic and research on those things. Those are public specifications. So why I am talking here, because this is not very specific for one identity product. Whatever, if you go for Google, they are using OIDs. Actually, Google OIDs developed by the Google initially. So, and if you communicate, let's say that you have that experience. So when you log into some website, they provide that social login. with the Google login. So when you have seen that it redirect in the sense like you can see that when you click on the button, it will automatically redirect to the Google page, right? And you provide your credential to the Google if you check the URL, because Google will not allow to collect your credential from the other domain. They definitely get redirect to their side and get the credential, authenticate successfully, and then only they redirect back to the service provider, right? They don't allow to collect the username password from another domain. They don't trust it, right? So in that case, in between that, you have seen that the redirection, that redirection follow this OpenID Connect protocol, right? So protocol in the sense, maybe it's word maybe not familiar, like protocol in the sense like some agreement you and me, between you and me, how we communicate, right? Let's say that the service provider, let's say one business, their website redirect to the Google IDP. Google IDP should say that what are the parameters it should pass, right? And then Google should say that what are the parameters it redirect back, right? So, but everyone, I mean, any different IDP cannot do different things. They have to follow the OpenID Connect protocol. OpenID Connect protocol, they have specifically specified all the parameters that you should pass in different way that we do this authentication. So then the service provider, the client application developer has to follow this protocol and pass this parameter to the Google. Google redirect back to your application. You can read those parameters and you can continue, right? That's how it works. So then you have to understand how the OpenID Connect those protocol work, right?
So this protocol is work as per the application type. If it is a web application, then we might use OAuth or maybe OAuth2, or maybe the in-house applications we might use SAML.
It's different. Like I'll explain that part as well. So the SAML is the old protocol. So right now it's going to be like out from the industry. SAML is XML based protocol. Right now XML is going to be integrated from there, like you said. So it's the OIDC OpenID or O2 OpenID Connect is like latest protocol that we are using, and O2 OpenID Connect, when you get the O2 OpenID Connect, it's different. O2 is the kind of a authorization protocol, right? OpenID Connect was written on top of the O2 to implement the authorization plus authentication, right? I'll get the real world example. Let's say that so there's a reception on this building. So let's say someone come to this, there are some multiple department. Maybe let's say that some doors open for some access cards, right? So then someone comes to the building and they provide their identity card, something, or driving license, something. So then they validate the driving license ID. That's where you provide your credential, and they authenticate from some system, and they give some access card, right? That access card, that access card doesn't have your name or identification. It's just a kind of an access card that you can open some sort of doors, not all the doors. So which means that the system has given the authorization, right? That authorization doesn't have identification. That's the difference, because that authorization card doesn't have a user information, right? That's the O2 exactly, right? But OpenID Connect, on top of that, maybe that that access card maybe he print immediately by putting your information as well, right? So when you go inside, you can open the door, but if someone gets the card, they can identify you as well, right? OpenID Connect has both access and plus user identification, right? So SAML it's mostly not using right now. Whole system. Yeah, so those are public. Specifically, you can just Google it and research on that. There are so many things in O2. Yeah, so I want to. This is not good for you guys, but because what happened when it comes to the industry, so most of the application developers, they don't like to learn those specifications. It's a bit like another level of effort that you have to do, but that's not your job, right? Then they really looking for some options. So then that's why this SDK and plugins come for different frameworks, right? So let's say that for the React, there are some SDKs. For the, let's say that WordPress, there are some plugins they have implemented, but they have done they have wrapped up everything inside this SDK and plugins. You don't see any these protocol specification or anything. You don't see any communication. You just in the client application side you download and install this SDK and you provide the required configuration. That's all. You don't know anything. You just like click the button, it will automatically redirect to IDM provider and come back, and that's it, right? So, it's really good to like learn all those things while you're using this SDK and plugin stuff. Yeah, so we'll try that. I'll show one example. So, any question? Okay. So before that, so interesting. So one more thing I would like to ask, like anyone from you guys like contribute for open source projects? No. What was that also?
Huh?
What was the open source project that you contributed?
JS1.
Say again?
JS1.
Okay. Yes, okay. So yeah, so I think you guys really need to like jump to that thing, like follow up all these open source project and how you can contribute those things, and it's really important like do contribution for this world, like while you are getting something from the world, right? That's why we come here and do something, because it's really good because there are so many good open source projects are running that people are using without paying anything. That's because of they have contributed to the world, right? So I'm working for an open source company. I have been there like almost 13 years right now. So we have developed a lot of product for this identity management and API management, integrations as a platform. All are open source. Anyone can get the source code, get the product, download and install in your production. No one need to pay anything. That's how it works. So likewise, there are so many Apache projects, CNCF projects. When you say that, let's say that if you are researching something that if you want to implement, let's say that in a React, if you are learning React and you are trying to get some SDK plugin or something, then just go to those repos and see like what are the issues that there are, and once you get familiar with those plugins and those source code, try to contribute those things, right? That's really important.
We did one project with Elasticsearch.
Elasticsearch, okay.
We did a very good project with them.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Okay.
So that was the whole stack to project.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Analytics part.
Analytics.
Okay. That's very interesting. No, that's because right now it's kind of a solution, like reading the logs from the file and log stash and push it to the Elastic and show it in the Kibana. Yeah. But it's a kind of a solution, but not a single deployment. Yeah, okay. It's interesting, yeah. So, yeah. I'll show that. So, first of all, I'll show that what I'm going to use here. Yeah, so this is the product that you can download from the GitHub itself. So this is the product that we are providing, that we have developed, and in this providing this capability, you can download this product from here, and all the instructions are here that you can follow. just download from here. It's open source, you can use it, and it has that Docker version as well. You can try it, right? So I have downloaded the product. I'll show you.
This is the IAM application.
This is the IAM application that you can
Like
use.
SailPoint and all.
Kind of, exactly. So the thing is, I need to tell that as well. So that we have a couple of open source IAM, open source IAM product, especially Keycloak is there. So other than that, Okta is not open source actually. So most of these are not open source, even though it mentioned here. But Keycloak is open source. So and WSO is open source. Other than that, all are proprietary. So yes. Yeah. So if you try to use this, so I'll just go through this and will show you simple example how you can integrate, and you can just follow the instruction and you can start with it. Yeah.
Can you increase the font?
Increase. Okay. Should be plus. So the product, it has that the management console that you can set that instruction will be available once the server gets started. So
Is it CLI based?
second, no, it's a you can just start the product and then you can log in from the box itself. Yeah. So then I use the default login. So here actually I'm in this identity product management console. So I want to share one of experience that creating simple application how we can log in using identity provider, right? So in order to creating client application, I'll use React. Who's familiar with the React stuff? Okay. So I think it's better to learn the React because it's kind of a trend that everyone following React. And yeah, so I have a kind of a quick start guide. I am not a React developer, but I know for some level of knowledge. But I'm just following this document and using this V template, I'll create a sample application. So just create this simple application and you open it from the tool. Yeah, it's based on the V template. It just create a couple of files, and we will first of all just run this. We will first run this as it is without doing any changes. I'll open the terminal itself from here. So you can just get this. What happened? It automatically run its own server and start the application. So this is kind of a simple web portal using React, right? So also React V template, right? So then I'm going to what I need here, like I want to integrate that login experience for this portal. This is clean empty application. I want to integrate this login experience to this by connecting with an identity provider. Let's say that if I'm going to implement everything, so you can imagine, right? I have to implement everything right now, right? So I'll follow this document. Like before that, I need to explain that communication part in between that application, React application and the identity provider. So basically what I said that you have application, you have an identity provider who provide that identity service in a centrally, and let's say that your application, the identity provider has to uniquely identify you somehow. Let's say that there are a lot of applications that registered in the identity server itself and communicating in order to log in, right? here and there. So, but identity provider has to uniquely catch all these requests when they initiate the authentication request, right? So, in order to do that, OpenID or through OpenID Connect protocol specification, they provide a set of way that how it uniquely identifies. Basically, let's say that if we implement such a story, then we maybe like generating unique ID per application, right? That's what we do, right? So in the identity server side, we generate unique ID per application, and we maybe share that unique ID per application. Keep this unique ID. When you come, when you read it, bring it, then we can identify you. Likewise, right? That's how we normally implement. The same way that OpenID Connect has implemented based on that specification. Identity provider, when the application register, the developers go to the identity provider and register their application. When they register, they decide which protocol that it communicates. Maybe as you select, maybe SAML or maybe OpenID Connect. Based on the protocol, by following the protocol, they do the identity provider do the need and provide the required unique identification information to put into the application side. In this case, we have to register this application, this React application.
Is it IDP initiated process?
It depends. Like so basically what happened, the application, the website, and or maybe mobile application, and I didn't provide it in other side. The web application, maybe they put some login button in their site, and maybe they click on that, right? Then it's service provider initiated authentication flow, right? Maybe sometimes identity provider provide kind of a portal. Identity provider provide some kind of portal by itself to click on the application name. Then identity provider may initiate the authentication and finish the authentication, go back. As an example, if you go here, so you are in this. Let's say that you are in this.
If I'm taking you off the track, so we just continue with the.
That's correct. Yeah, I think anyone can understand that. So you are logged into the Google. Google is the IDP. So in here also you can understand that part. Like Google, we are not in the Google. We are in the Gmail. Gmail is an application in the Google. Google is the IDP. Gmail is one of application, right? So if you go to the Google, I don't remember the IDP URL. There should be URL for the Google as well. Yeah, this one. This is one of another portal actually. This is the My Account portal that provided by the Google IDP. Google IDP we don't see actually. When we log into the when we log in only, they provide the login screen. But the My Account is also a application. Gmail is another application, right? When you go, so you're asking like kind of IDP initiated thing. You can see that when you click on here, those are all applications. But when you click on one of these, you are not initiating that from the application side. You automatically redirect to their you automatically go to the identity provider and log in and redirect back to the that specific application, right? You can see you directly come to the calendar. But how it comes, you first go to the identity provider and it is automatically already authenticated with the because of you logging into the email, then it comes back to the application, right? Yeah. So we're talking about like the application and then we need to register it, right? So let's go to the identity provider console. So then that's that application section that you need to register. But I need to again highlight here. So this is not this WSO2 this product specific. Whatever identity provider product that you go, you can see this application list, right? You have to register somehow your application somewhere, right? maybe some different terminology, they may be using service provider or maybe different name, but end of the day you have to register application, right? When you click on new application, you can see different type of application. This is kind of user experience. This depends on the different identity provider. So we have provided like single page application, traditional web application, easily do. But it not need to be like some other identity provider, maybe more easy than this, and maybe sometimes harder. So okay, you can see. So yeah, so then let's say that since we are going to create a React application, let's click on single page application, and you provide some name. Let's say that test, and so based on the specification, the what we call like OpenID Connect Auth2, we have to give the redirect URL. Why this redirect URL? Because as I said that the application initiate this authentication request come to the identity provider. Identity provider do the authentication. Once it finishes the authentication, it has to go back somewhere, right? To go somewhere like to that same application, when you register the application, you have to provide the correct redirect URL. Unless it doesn't know where to redirect back, right? So then we give kind of whatever the redirect URL that we have in whatever redirect endpoint that we have in our React application, right? And I have created a sample application already. I'm not going to create that one, and I'll show that application here. Once you create that, there are so many other features around that, but I'm not going to follow all these things. Once we click on the protocol, you can see we have created this application by following the OpenID Connect OIDC protocol. And as I said, it provides kind of a unique ID, client ID. That's its name. So client ID, this is the unique ID for that application. We have to copy this client ID and do something in the client application side, right? To do something, we have to understand how the specification works, right? Bit complicated, but not that much. If you want to communicate with the identity provider, you have to learn that part. That's it, right? So in here, I'm going to bypass one step. I'm not going to show you like how the specification work can do all the like subsequent call happen, what are the parameters kind of. But instead of that, I'm going to use a kind of a SDK. That was wrap everything. That we are going to use that React SDK, that is open source SDK. We are going to use it, and it wrap everything. You just get this ID and couple of parameters, put it there in the client application. That's it. Everything done, right? So I'll follow that part. So now we have created this application. We have unique ID, so we can copy it, right? So then we'll go to this client application, not this one. Oh no, sorry, this one. And we'll follow this documentation. In that documentation, explain how to do the remaining thing. In this React application, it's public standard template. Once it generates this template, it provides kind of a main JSX file and a JSX file. Inside that, it is called this app control. If you know the React, then you can easily understand this part. Don't worry about if you don't know. So I'll just follow this. So I'm also not that much expert. So then we'll go for this. Yeah. So they have modified. They are asking what we are doing. Like if you know the React, this is the main application. We have wrap up using another auth provider kind of a component. This main component and provide set of configuration. Right. So I'll just copy entire file. It's easy. Save time. I'll explain after that. So you can see, right?
Yes.
So you can see what happened. What I did was like I put this auth provider component by wrapping up this main app component and provide set of configuration. That's it, right? This is required for that public React SDK, auth SDK, right? So it requires this sign in redirect URL, sign out redirect URL, the redirect URL that we provided there, and client ID that we talked about, the unique ID that we copied from the identity provider side. We need to put it here. Sorry. Go to protocol, copy this one. right? And then we need to provide the base URL. This is this template generate a different one, but I'll provide this localhost 9443. This is the identity provider URL, right? So yeah, right. So that's only we need to do. Let me check what the fallback URL that we have provided here. It should be same, identical. Yeah, with the slash. We need to write slash because it matches the correct address URL, right? That's all. We have provided all this, and then let's go to this tutorial and we'll see what the next step. And now we have connect with the SDK. Now we need to put some login button, like something to click in the client application side. And I'll copy this entire thing, but it's just like putting two button to the page in this app JSX, and so we'll only copy it, right? And what it does, so basically if you know the React, that React SDK provide kind of a hook in order to connect with that overflow, and state object, it has that the user information and whether it's authenticated or not kind of information, and sign in and sign out function that we can communicate from the React code itself, right? So it's bit React specific, but and then stop this, and we need to install this. That's so, right? So we go for that. So this one, right? So this is the client application, right? So now we have only login button, yeah, in that client page. So this is the client application. You can see the URL, right? So I'll show that how we can inspect this all the redirection. You can inspect the browser. Maybe you already know. So you can see all the network trace from here. What happened? All these redirection things. So let's say once you click on this login button, you can see this is one of this compliance thing you can see, because it redirects to the localhost 9443. This is the identity provider that I ran in the local machine, right? So and you can see in here, so it redirects to the this localhost 9443 or to endpoint kind of to the identity provider, right? Now we are in the identity provider side, and we need to provide the credential, admin, standard username and password. And once you sign in, I'll clean this out, and you can see come back with the username as well. So this is the flow, right? So you redirect back to the client application with the logged in user information, all the maybe roles and username and everything. Now you can continue your business. So you have logged in username, and you have logged in the roles and users roles and other all the attributes, maybe email and all these things, right? So that's how normally this authentication flow works without writing any line of code in your application, right? In the sense, without writing mean like not related to the authentication, right? So any question? It's a local. It's a local machine. So I started the product local. In the product itself, it has the database. Yes. When I start the product, out of the box, it acts like have you heard about like a H2 database, the file-based H2 database? The product out of the box we pack the H2 file. But if you want to connect with the MySQL, Oracle, whatever, you can connect the product.
So right now, where is this user login? The login.
Say it again.
Where is the admin and the password stored?
Yeah, so the password stored in the identity provider itself. So if you go to the identity provider here, so if you go there, the user management section, the user, this is the user that we use to log in.
The H2 database.
Exactly. Right now it's in the H2 database, but you can point to any Oracle or whatever that it supports. So any question? So the university guys, you are not interesting, or you are you could understand those things. So if you have any question, is it too much for this context for the? Tell something.
So right now you're running two applications. One is the login server and one is the
React application. Client application.
Is the server running in the background?
Yes. Yeah,
That's from the app you used to.
exactly. Yeah.
That-
This one.
I am.
Yeah.
What's the server?
It's a that's what I actually showed you. Like you can download it and run it. Identity server service. You can download it from there.
Can you show me where the database is stored on the file system?
Okay. File system. You go to this. Look at this. This is WSO2 Identity DB and Carbon DB. Those are the standard DB. It is in the file system. This is H2 database. That is VB that we packed out of blocks. People can easily start the product and try it. Unless you may have to configure the MySQL and set it up everything, and it's kind of another step. You want to reduce it. You can just start the product and try it out. Right?
So you don't get anything to start as well. You don't need administrative to create a
Yeah. So
login.
yeah. So the thing is, the H2 database or inside we have connected with the default username and password from that system. But the credential that we have provided for the default credential, you can see that all the information available in the documentation as well. You can see the super admin username password. You can change it from here and start the first time product. It will install to the H2 database itself first time. Then later on you can change.
This is the database actually.
This is a configuration file. This is not a database. Okay.
For the database, you keep all in your server, local server, the computer.
Yeah. Right now it's running in local server.
So you haven't launched it like, how do you say, globally?
Yeah,
Right.
so it's different. Right now we are just trying it local, putting local identity server and running the application as well in locally. But let's say that if you want to run it somewhere else, it's like AWS cloud, then you have to get a VM and you can put this product there and start, and you can point the public URL to that this given port, and you can access that as an identity service from there.
So you haven't hosted yet. It's only on your computer.
Say again?
It's only usable on your computer. You haven't hosted yet.
No, I am hosted it. Just running
Is
here.
it Terminal PowerShell?
Say again?
Is it Terminal PowerShell?
Yes.
Why does it look like Windows PowerShell? All blue.
So you can use it from Windows as well. It's
No, I'm asking why your terminal looks like PowerShell of Windows. A different design.
different design. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like it's coming with a different styles. Yeah. Yeah. So any other question? Yeah.
I was just curious what the common mistakes developers do when working with identity providers, like especially beginners.
Okay. Good question. Basically, the first thing is that you cannot easily do mistake, because identity provider care about most of these things, because it opened the required endpoints and it managed most of the things. It's only possible that you can communicate with it by passing the required information, and identity provider take care of everything. You can't do mistake, and it will redirect back to the application. So you can't do any mistake. Only thing is that if you are, let's say that in your company that you are going to use one of identity provider, then you have to take care of where you install this, what are the ports that you open to the outside, maybe So there can be things that based on the identity provider, but based on the specification and the experience that identity provider, delegating the identity capability to identity provider, you can't do any mistake from the identity provider side. So only thing is that let's say that once you log into the one of your application from identity provider, so then it depends on how you use the all the user information that you receive. Let's say that you are logging from one of the user that you receive a role and couple of attributes, that you have to implement everything to manage and secure your application based on the role or maybe kind of different attributes, right? So the identity provider, what it does, like actually provide the capability to log in, right? And once you finish the logged in, then that your responsibility to manage it within the application, right? And again, there are a couple of more things like, you know, the identity provider has its own session expiry, and client application may have their own session expiry. It's depend again with the framework that you use to implement the client application and the way that you implement. And again, like when you go to the mobile application, there are some sort of challenges because you don't have redirection easily, right? So then you have to call back channel APIs. So then there are some native API support in all the identity providers that it provide APIs that you have to pass the credential. Then you have to make sure that it pass in an encrypted way and in the secure channel because you are passing credential through the wire. So in this case, you don't pass the credential through the wire because you redirect to the specific identity provider. And identity provider collect all the information itself, right? So when you work with the APIs, that you have to make sure like you are very safe. And when you start the identity provider in some hosting location, then as I said, you have to be very sure that you are not opening all the ports and all the channels and accessing to the database, because sometimes you provide the identity provider, you start the identity server, but someone can access the server itself, like SSH, and go inside and they can do some changes and those stuff. And even that they can go to the database as well. Then again, it's a risk. Then you have to, I mean, there are so many ways, like, you know, to store the credential, like maybe sometimes you store the password plain text. In case someone can log into the database, they can see all the password. Then you have to follow the correct hashing algorithm to store the password, the non-reversible algorithms, right? No one can, even though they get it, they can't use it, right? Likewise, those are practices. So, not a mistake, but practices, best practices. There are so many best practices, but if you go to ChatGPT and ask, like, what are the best practices, they will provide so many things.
Role-based access is one of them, right?
Say again?
RBS.
Yes. Role-based access, RBAC is a kind of a way that we manage the application security. Yeah, so based on the role, you manage everything. That provides support by the identity providers, all identity providers, yes. And there are so many things like, you know, it may not be enough to manage the application based on only role. Maybe go for a next level, and in a fine grained level, you may have to manage the application, right? Let's say that you want to block set of menu item, but one item you can only create, but others can read, and so many fine grained level. Then it's very hard to manage based on the role. It's a next level. So then you can break it to a two-part. Like basically, you can manage it for some extent by keeping the role in the identity provider side, then, but giving kind of a permission levels thing in application side. But if it goes like, you know, beyond the basic level, as an example, let's say you provide this credential, you provide this access to this user to this application to do this task in this time range, but only create. So many levels. Then you have to go for authorization service. There are some authorization servers. That's a specific separate product. It's not identity provider, it's authorization provider. So there are so many specifications on top of that, and there are product as well. So then people, what they do, they connect to authorization server through the identity provider. Maybe once they finish the authentication, they again call back to the authorization server and validate those things. It's a kind of a next level based on the application, right? So yeah. That's the basic login, but I want to show that we were talking about kind of iceberg, right? So what are the extended capabilities and how it is very helpful by using kind of this kind of product, right? I'm not going to implement this in this local server, but I'll use the SaaS platform in order to like easily connect that. Let me stop this, and I have created that to save the time. So I will start that. It's another application. I'm connecting to the cloud version. Exactly. So I have connected to, yeah, I will show that before that. So now you can see this console which is running in the local machine as you are asking. So the local machine, but I will show that there's that as SaaS platform as well.
Package, the UI, it's called NPM is called WSO2.
Is it?
What NPM package do you install?
Yeah. So NPM package is this one. So I'll show you the NPM registry.
The login UI.
Yeah, NPM SQL. You can see that NPM registry. This is the public common registry for the React. Not React actually. This is for actually what we call like NPM for not only React, I guess. So I'm not expert on that. So React is one of that. So you can see most of the plugins, sorry, SDKs in here by providing all the vendors in the world. So this is one of it, and all the stats are available here. And you can read all the documentation how this SDK is working, kind of.
This is a server?
No, this is kind of this is kind of a artifactory server and information.
Which one is the server?
Which server? Ascardio.
Go to the UI where you're managing this one.
Okay.
What NPM package is this?
I think you get confused. So the NPM package is used in the client application side, not in the identifier side.
You ran NPM install.
Yeah, so I ran that in the application side.
Okay, what is this? Is this server?
This server is identifier. This is the identifier management console.
How do you install this?
Yeah, so I just download the product and start it. So I just downloaded. This is the I'll show that the folder. You can see that this is the folder that I downloaded, and inside that there is a couple of folders, and there's a bin folder, and there are a couple of shell script that you can run the product. That's how we run.
So this is a
Not install, just run. That's it. There's no any installation. This is just zip file. We unzip it and run it. That's it.
what is this from how?
Yeah, so this is actually where we stopped the server earlier. So this is where actually the server is running up and running right now.
Go to the very top.
Yeah.
What's the most person?
Yeah. So the first command was this one. This shell script.
So how do we install this?
Not install. It's just a zip file that we unzip it
Oh,
and run the shell script.
okay.
Yeah.
There's a website you can find this.
Exactly.
It's called WSO2
WSO2 IAM server. You can search it. Okay, so I'll load the. We have time. Is it open? How many?
Yeah.
I'll show the SAS.
More minutes?
Say again.
20 more
Oh, okay.
minutes, that's
Yeah.
all of you.
Yeah. So signing with this one. And that was the reason just came to here. Something low.
Nice.
I just log in the Google and use that Google account because I have set up everything in that account. This one is. Yeah. So the same console, same experience. that is running in SaaS platform. You can access. Even you also can create an account and you can use freely. So for some extent. So I'll go to this application section. So I have created this application. Let's try to log in for that application. This new application I have started here is connected not to the local server but that SaaS platform. Right? Okay. I want to show something here, the login. When you click on the login, you can see it's going to the public cloud SaaS platform. Right? So here I have created a user there. So I will just log in. That's it. You can see that the name is the user in the SaaS platform. It's logging back to my local machine, right? So I didn't do anything. You can, I mean, you don't want to set up locally. You can use the Scario as well to try out this. And then I want to show something like that iceberg thing, right? So let's say that you want to introduce OTP, email OTP as a second factor. So how, if you implement that in application side, then you have to do sort of things like once you log in back, or maybe let's say that there is a one identity provider who provide that login capability but not provide that other factors or things. Then you log in from the identity provider and you have to again prop up or prompt another step and you have to manage the SMS OTP or email OTP, whatever, right? Or else, if you implement everything, then you have to implement login screen and OTP and you have to send the mail, verification, everything, right? So, MFA. So in this case, now what you have done here, you have created the application and you have registered that application in the identity provider, whatever identity provider, and then now you have to go to the identity provider. Each identity provider, they have their own way to implement this. So we have a kind of a graphical user experience that you can add another step here. You can see, you can click on that and adding another step. There are so many ways that you can do this multi-step authentication. Let's say that you want email OTP. So you just click on that. You can see sign in from the local credential, whatever credential, and then it go to the next step. Right? This is how it works, representing in the UI, and you just update it. That's it. You don't want to do anything. That's it, right? So then you go to the application. You click on that, just log out, and then first click login, and then it says provide the credential. Once you provide the credential, it automatically from the second step, right? So then you have to go to the email. Reset. So many secretary was convenient.
When you use this like commercial, let's say you apply this like commercial like app, do you have to pay to let's say after a certain amount of logins or?
Escalate? No, you don't need to pay. So for some, I mean, based on the MAU, monthly active user. So monthly active user means like how many users log in per month. Up to 7,000, it's free. It's normal for a startup. It's obvious that you can use free.
Is it charging the developer or who's paying for it? The owner, business owner?
Which one?
To use that, like you said, after the 7,000?
Then the application side they have to pay for this, so get the service. If you need more than 7,000 MAUs, unless you don't need to. But again, if you can run the server in your VM, then you don't have to pay anything because it's open source. So yeah, I got the OTP. Set it. That's it, right? So if I go for like let's say that if you want to have the latest things like what we have, passwordless, right? Passkey, the fingerprint. In the laptop it has, right? So you can easily configure as another, like it's an option. Either you provide the credential or maybe you use the passkey. So let's say you can see that either sign in or maybe another option. You can see this thing here. like this, either sign in or maybe have another option, whatever. Let's say that we add the passkey option. So that's it. Let's try. And so click on that, you can see either you can provide the credential or maybe sign in with the passkey. Once you click on that, it asks me the passkey. Sorry, my laptop was reset. Sorry. Passkey was gone. Everything was reset. Sorry about that. I think I have set the passkey. I have to go from the scratch to provide the passkey. My laptop is not working for the fingerprint right now. So yeah, so let's say if you provide something else. Yeah, let's say we'll add Google social, right? Social account. Yeah, you can add it. I have set it up because in order to connect with the Google, you have to create an application with the Google application developer platform. You have to go ahead. It's free. You can create an application and get the key credential and put there, and you can set the connectivity in between the identity provider and the Google. And once we have that, you can add this option to your login flow. So now you can go there and click the login button. You can see the signing with Google. Right? Once you click on that, it will redirect to Google. Now you are in the Google. Let's say that you provide some credential there. So likewise, so there are a couple of so many options that you can do based on need. So and again, it's not like as it is simple because there are so many flexibilities in each identity provider because we are talking about very basic use cases. But when you go for enterprise level cases, it's very, very complicated because they are looking for connectivity with this identity provider with so many third parties and validating so many things. So as an example, let's say that if you want to, let's say that you are in banking system, you log into the banking system by providing credential, username, password. But when you do a transaction, prompt again and get another OTP, kind of a dynamic authentication, step up the authentication, right? Then you can't hard code the authentication flow. Then it dynamically based on the operation, you have to step up the authentication. In such cases, so all the identity providers have provided some way to write the authentication flow. So what we have done here, we have provided a kind of a console to write JavaScript in the console itself. You can write any JavaScript here. You can control the authentication flow. You can connect over to the external party and get the data and manipulate it and do some like this. As an example, if you go here, you can see we have given some sort of sample conditional flow. Those are very common. Basically, as an example here, you say it is. So if you edit here, if you go to this code, you can understand that we have given this sample code, not the sample, this is working code. So we have given this template. So it managed based on that user attribute. The user logged in, we validate the credential and get the user attribute list and get the age. If it is age is less than or greater than this, we don't allow to hide it. Then we can write the logic here. Right? So likewise, we can write IP-based authentication, geo-based authentication. So we can control by writing the script here based on the business need, right? And again, there are so many like analytics. So you can publish all the events, and you can see the user sessions and manage. And you can like again, let's say that you are going to integrate this login experience and login this identity provider to your application. Then the problem here that you can see, let's say that when you this is your application, right? You have your own theme. When you click the login button, it's coming with kind of a different theme that we provide, right? So this logo actually I have provided. So unless there will be a WSO logo. So the theme is WSO. So now you have to change the theme because the login screen is yours, right? It shouldn't be like a different theme. So then you can come to this branding section and you can brand according to your theme, and you can change all the color, theme, styles, and you can design the login screen and user registration, password reset, everything. based on your need. So everything will provide by this login screen, this ID provider. So, sorry.
Can you change the CSS?
Yes, it's not directly CSS. We have given the kind of a capability that you can design. I'll show this. Sorry, design class. So you can see. Design. Yeah, this one. Images, color, palette, footer, this all you can change the given layout. But if you want to have your own custom layout, there is a way that you can upload the complete custom layout, but it's kind of premium version, not the free version. So
Does that come with the connector level, right? You have the different definition connectors available within this?
yes, of course. This connector you can connect with like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, GitHub, Apple, whatever. So there are some connector store as well that you can install. In on-prem version, you will have a like separate connector store, you can install whatever. But in a SaaS version, we have it for limited connectivities. So yeah, those are the basic stuff I can provide. Any question?
So, uploading, that's free if you run it
For the theming, right? Theming, you can do whatever in the local store because it's not to your only SaaS platform you have. Anything else?
I looked up the customer. So you say 7,500 users free.
Okay, 7,000 users, right?
7,500 users.
Okay.
I mean user access of it.
MAU, monthly active users, yes. Not the user count.
There's no charge for rate limits. As long as it's 200 per minute.
End of the day, the rate limit, not the rate limit, but there are a couple of things. So this is not specific for this as for free, because of free. But any platform from the load balancer level, you have to control this, right? Because there can be a DOS attack, someone can attack on this. Because of that, same IP, if you are trying like 100 times, automatically system will drop. Because of that, there will be a throttling. Other than that, there will not be throttling. But based on the MAU, there will be throttling.
So you're not charged for rate.
Sorry?
I'm not going to forget it.
Okay, so that's all about the basic stuff. So we can, as I said, like I would like to, if you have more students, like I would like to do a kind of a workshop session.
Sure.
So if they are interested.
You said basic, but
Yeah,
it doesn't look like basic. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We are ready fit for the class. Good developer has to be where to copy and put paste the code. You literally show us like how to be a good developer. Thanks so much for your time. I'm gonna appreciate for your time, class. We will keep organizing this event and like Harsha, people that are willing to come and make a workshop with you. I hope we will have more students, more people from outside as well. Thanks so much. If you don't mind, we can take a picture, like gather together here.
Sure.
That would be a good memory for us.
What do you guys want to speak to? You're welcome to
Well,
speak and
definitely.
present to. I encourage you guys, that's the way I kind of like to present something to other people. Helps me a lot.
Let's have a sit there. You don't have to go anywhere. That's good. Let's